Good day students, welcome to the zoology class. Today I am going to teach you about the second part of reproductive health. So in this second presentation on reproductive health, I will discuss four topics, and they are sexually transmitted diseases, medical termination of pregnancy, then infertility and amniocentesis. These four topics will be discussed in this second part of reproductive health presentation. First of all, I will discuss about the medical termination of pregnancy, and the short form is MTP. What is MTP, or medical termination of pregnancy? It is intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy, and this is called as medical termination of pregnancy, or it can be called as induced abortion. And 45 to 50 million MTPs, or medical termination of pregnancies, per year are done all over the world. And medical termination of pregnancy, it decreases population, but this is not meant for this purpose, to decrease the population. So medical termination of pregnancy can also be called as the induced abortion. And all over the world, about 45 to 50 million MTPs per year are done. So when MTPs are done at such a large scale, it decreases population. But MTP is not meant for decreasing the population. This is not the birth control method. So this is done for different reasons. And MTP, it is a debatable topic due to emotional, ethical, religious and social issues. And Government of India legalized MTP in 1971 with strict restrictions to check indiscriminate and illegal female feticide. So MTP is legalized in India now, and it was legalized by the Government of India in 1971, but it is a debatable topic whether it should be done or not, because it is the emotional thing, then it can be ethical, religious belief, or certain other social issues, that some people say that MTP should not be performed and some people say MTP can be performed. So, but Government of India legalized it in 1975. But Government of India, it gave certain restrictions to MTP, that MTP should be done in extreme case, but it should not be done for female feticide. That if it means that if the growing embryo is female, then some people they go for MTP, that this should not be done. And this type of MTP of female feticide, it is illegal in India. And MTP is also done to get rid of unwanted pregnancy due to unprotected intercourse, failure of contraceptive, rape, pregnancy which may be fatal to mother or fetus. So there are different reasons for performing MTP. It can be due to the unwanted pregnancy due to unprotected contact or failure of birth control methods, or there are certain pregnancies which are fatal to mother. It means the growing fetus is not developing properly and it has certain problem, and it can be fatal for the mother as well as for the fetus, and in that case also MTP can be performed. And this method of MTP is safe within first trimester, that is 12 weeks, and in second trimester MTP is not advisable. It is risky. So it means that if MTP has to be performed for certain reasons, it can be performed only in first trimester, means in first 3 months of pregnancy, because afterwards the fetus or the embryo, it is in advanced stage of development, and if the MTP is performed in the second trimester, that is from 4th month onward, it becomes riskier for the mother. So the abortion after first trimester, it is not advisable. And this MTP, it should not be performed by unqualified people. It should be performed only by the qualified doctors, because MTP is performed by unqualified person. It is unsafe and it is fatal for the mother. It means that it is very dangerous for the mother if some unqualified person performs the MTP. And MTP should be done after proper counseling, and it should not be done as a result of amniocentesis. I will discuss the process of amniocentesis afterwards, that it is the misuse of amniocentesis, that sometimes as a result of amniocentesis sex determination is done, and if some person see that the growing baby is female, they go for abortion or MTP, and that is illegal also, and that should not be done. So MTP as a result of amniocentesis and for female feticide should not be done. So this is a medical termination of pregnancy, and sometimes a note is asked in examinations that write a note on a medical termination of pregnancy. So next comes sexually transmitted diseases. Now sexually transmitted diseases, and the short form is STD. STD means sexually transmitted diseases, and sexually transmitted diseases, they are also known as venereal diseases or reproductive tract diseases, that is VD or RTI. So this is one and the same thing, whether we say sexually transmitted diseases or we say venereal diseases VD or we say reproductive tract diseases. So some of the sexually transmitted diseases, they are gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B and HIV/AIDS. So these are some of the sexually transmitted diseases. It means these diseases, they are caused by the sexual contact. So these diseases are very dangerous and they should be taken care of at a very early stage. And this is mode of transmission of hepatitis B and HIV/AIDS, that how hepatitis B and HIV/AIDS is transmitted. These are sexual contact with infected person. Second is sharing of injection and needles, sharing the unsterilized surgical instruments, or transfusion of blood from infected person to healthy person, and from infected mother to fetus. So these five, they are the main reasons of infection of or transmission of hepatitis B and AIDS. That is, it is number one, sexual contact with the infected person, means the person with which has this disease. If sexual contact is made with that infected person and the person gets HIV, AIDS and hepatitis B. And sometimes sharing of infected needles, it also causes these diseases. And unsterilized surgical instruments also cause these diseases. And sometimes infected blood from infected person to healthy person, it also transmits the disease. And sometimes these diseases are also transmitted from infected mother to fetus. So these are the modes of transmission of hepatitis B and HIV. And except hepatitis B, genital herpes and HIV infections, others are curable. It means that the sexually transmitted diseases like gonorrhea, syphilis and chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, these are curable diseases. But in case of hepatitis B or genital herpes and HIV infections, prevention is better than cure, because they cannot be cured, but we have to prevent ourselves from these diseases. So these are some of the sexually transmitted diseases. So what are the symptoms of these sexually transmitted diseases? And in these sexually transmitted diseases, in early stages, the symptoms are very minor, but they should not be taken unattended. So some of the symptoms in the early stages are itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swelling in the genital region. And so these are the symptoms of the sexually transmitted disease, that the person who is infected with these diseases, he or she feels itching or fluid discharge or slight pain or swelling in the reproductive tract or in the genital region. And these sexually transmitted diseases, they remain asymptomatic in female and remain undetected for that in case some female is affected by the sexually transmitted diseases, she does not have any symptoms in the early stages, but in the later stages symptoms appear, and that it becomes very difficult to cure. And in the later stage it may lead to pelvic inflammatory diseases and abortion and stillbirth, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, or even cancer in reproductive tract. It means that if a female is infected by certain sexually transmitted diseases and she does not take care of these diseases in early stages, then in later stages these diseases, they may lead to the inflammation, means swelling of the pelvic region. And then if that lady, female who is infected with these sexually transmitted diseases, she undergoes abortion many times. If she is pregnant, she has to undergo abortion. And sometimes there is stillbirth. Stillbirth means the baby which is born to such sexually transmitted diseases infected ladies, they are born dead. And ectopic pregnancy means that their fertilization takes place in fallopian tube, and then the zygote does not go for implantation in the uterus, but it is implanted in the fallopian tube itself. So this is known as ectopic pregnancy. But you know that fallopian tube is not suitable for implantation, and so it is dangerous for the mother, and the pregnancy is also not proper. So sometimes due to sexually transmitted diseases, infertility occurs, that these ladies which are infected with sexually transmitted diseases, they are unable to produce children. It means they are infertile, and sometimes even cancer develops in the reproductive tract of such infected ladies. So we have to prevent ourselves from these diseases, and if we feel certain symptoms, it should be reported to doctor immediately, and in early stages these diseases can be cured except for certain diseases. And what are the preventions to prevent ourselves from these diseases? That avoiding sex with unknown partners or multiple partners. Second is always use condoms during coitus. And third is, in case of doubt, consult a doctor for early detection. And fourth is getting complete treatment for diagnosed disease. So to prevent these diseases, we should avoid sex with unknown partners and with more than one partner. And moreover, condoms should be used during sexual relationships. And in case we have a doubt that we have certain sexually transmitted disease, we should immediately consult the doctor for early detection. And then if a lady is infected with certain sexually transmitted disease, then and she is diagnosed with some disease, then she should go for complete treatment, and then she can be cured from these sexually transmitted diseases. So next topic is amniocentesis. What is amniocentesis? I have already mentioned in the previous slides about the amniocentesis. So this is a process, and this is a technique. It is a technique in which a small amount of about 10 ml of amniotic fluid at a very early stage of fetal development, it is taken from the mother's womb with the help of the surgical needle without causing any damage to the fetus, and then that fluid is analyzed, and it aims at detecting any possible chromosomal abnormalities and metabolic disorders. And this fluid contains fetal cells which are cultured and analyzed. And in case of any serious congenital defect or any other defect, termination of pregnancy is advised by the doctor. And this process is many times misused to determine the sex of the child so as to abort the female fetus. So what is amniocentesis? You know the structure and how the fetus is developed, and you know that the fetus or the embryo, it is covered by extra embryonic membranes. There are 4 extra embryonic membranes, and the closest or the innermost amniotic membrane, extra embryonic membrane is amnion. Here you see in the picture, this is developing baby, and the closest extra embryonic membrane is amnion. And you know that this the cavity between the embryo and the amnion, it is known as the amniotic cavity. And you also know that this is filled with amniotic fluid. And what is done in amniocentesis? That this is the needle, that with the help of the needle, by pricking in the womb of the mother, some fluid is collected from here. About 10 ml is taken out with the help of the fine needle and without injuring the embryo or the mother. So 10 ml of fluid is taken out, and then it is cultured in the laboratory, and then it is analyzed, because in this amniotic fluid there are certain cells which are shed from the embryo, and then these cells, they are cultured and analyzed, and the specialized person it sees that if it has any chromosomal disorder or any other metabolic disorder or congenital defect, and if there is certain defect in the cultured fluid, then the lady is advised for the abortion. So because that child will not be proper after the birth, and moreover in some cases it is also fatal for the mother. But this is a very useful process, but sometimes this process is misused, because when amniocentesis is done, then the sex of the child is also determined, and some persons, they use it only for the determination of the sex, and if they see that the developing fetus is female, then they go for abortion. So this is the misuse of amniocentesis, and that is illegal, and that should not be done. Amniocentesis should be done only to see any abnormality in the growing baby. So this is all about the amniocentesis. So next topic of today's presentation is infertility. So what is infertility? By the name you can know that infertility means the lady is or the person is not fertile. The person or the couple who is not able to produce children. So that person and that couple is known as fertile, and the process is known as the infertility. So we can say the couple unable to produce children in spite of unprotected sex is called infertility, and the problems of infertility may be in male or female. It means in spite of unprotected sex means that if couple does not take any contraceptive methods, and even then after avoiding the birth methods, birth control methods, the couple is unable to produce children, that condition is known as infertility. So these problems of infertility, it can be because of male or it can be because of the female. Both can be equally responsible for the infertility, and the reason for the infertility may be physical, congenital diseases, drugs, immunological, or even psychological. So the reason for infertility can be physical, that there is certain defect in the organs or in the formation of the reproductive organs. So defect can be maybe congenital diseases. It means that some reasons for the infertility can be from the birth of the couples, and sometimes drugs produce certain effects that couple leads to infertility, and sometimes it can be psychological or immunological. So infertility can be due to physical reasons, congenital reasons, maybe because of drugs, or even psychological. And but in a country like India, females are blamed for the infertility. If we see that in villages, if a couple is unable to produce children, they say that the responsibility lies on the female, that female is unable to produce children, but it is not the fact. Sometimes the problem can be in the male also. So there are specialized healthcare units like infertility clinics. They diagnose the problem and they correct the treatment, and they correct it and they give treatment to have a child. And in our country there are many infertility clinics. They diagnose the defect and then they correct it, they give treatment, and then the couple can have children. So it can be removed and couples are unable to produce children in a normal way. But sometimes what happens that irrespective of all the treatments, the couple is not able to give birth to children. Then when treatments are not enough, couples are assisted with techniques. They are known as assisted reproductive technologies. When many treatments fail to produce children in case of the infertile couples, then there is a technique which is known as assisted reproductive technologies, ART. So what are assisted reproductive technologies? These assisted reproductive technologies are those technologies which help the infertile couple to produce the children, and there are many techniques, and number one is IVF or ET. IVF means in vitro fertilization, ET means embryo transfer, and in layman's language it can be known as the test tube baby. And here in this treatment, fertilization takes place outside and embryo is transferred, and female is induced to produce multiple eggs or ova, and then egg is then collected from wife or the donor, and the sperm collected from the husband or the donor, and it is incubated in the culture medium. Then it is fertilized and it forms zygote, and then it is transferred to the uterus of the wife. There it gets implanted and pregnancy continues. So in this IVF process, which is known as the in vitro fertilization or the embryo transfer, this process includes that fertilization takes place outside the body of the female, and then zygote or the embryo in early stages, it is transferred to the body of the female. In this process, female is induced to produce more eggs, and then egg is taken out from the wife or the donor. Donor means which gives the egg, and sperm are collected are from the husband or the donor. It means eggs are taken from the wife and sperms are taken from the donor, and then they are cultured in a laboratory. And here after culturing the medium for ova and sperm, sperm and ova gets fertilized in the laboratory, and they form zygote in the laboratory, and then this zygote, it is transferred into the uterus of the wife, where it gets implanted, and then the pregnancy continues. But this IVF or the in vitro, vitro means in laboratory. In vitro fertilization, it is of two types. Number one is ZIFT and number two is IUT. What is ZIFT? It means zygote intrafallopian transfer. It means, as I told you, that in IVF fertilization takes place in the laboratory, that is in vitro, and when zygote is formed, and zygote is 8 cell stage, that is there are 8 blastomeres in the zygote, then it is transferred to fallopian tube of the female. And if the embryo with 8 blastomeres, it is transferred to fallopian tube of the female, then it is known as ZIFT. ZIFT means zygote intrafallopian transfer. It means that zygote is transferred to fallopian tube. And what is IUT? IUT means intrauterine transfer. It means then when embryo reaches the stage of 32 cells, and then this embryo having 32 blastomeres, then it is directly transferred to uterus, and in the uterus it gets implanted, and then pregnancy continues. So these both processes, ZIFT and IUT, these both processes, they are included in IVF. They are both IVF processes. Only the difference is that in ZIFT the zygote is transferred into fallopian tube because it is 8 cell stage, and in IUT the zygote is transferred to uterus because it is at 32 cell stage, and at a stage of 32 cells normally, naturally also, zygote is in the uterus and it is implanted, and so the same process is done in the laboratory, and zygote is transferred to the uterus or the fallopian tube in case of the IVF. So this is the first ART, that means first assisted reproductive technology. Then, so this is the in vitro fertilization. In vitro means in laboratory. So this is the female reproductive system, that eggs are collected from the female body and they are cultured in the laboratory, and then sperms, they are also got from the male, and they are also cultured in the laboratory here, and here they are cultured, and then they get fertilized, and then these fertilized zygote, if it is at 8 cell stage, then it is transferred to fallopian tube, and if it is that is known as ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer, and if it is 32 cell stage, then it is transferred to uterus, that is known as IUT, intrauterine transfer. So these are the two processes of the IVF. And what is the significance of this IVF? It is a boon to infertile mother, and men with oligospermia and embryos can be frozen and used for future. It means that the mothers who are unable to produce children, they can get children by the in vitro fertilization process, and moreover men who have low sperm count, they can also be give sperm to the donor, to the wife, and then they can get children. And embryos in this type of fertilization, they can be frozen and they can be used for future also. So these types of zygotes or embryos, they can be frozen and they can be used in future. So this is the process of the in vitro fertilization, and this is the first process of assisted reproductive technology. So next, that is the second assisted reproductive technology is GIFT. GIFT means gamete intrafallopian transfer. In this case, what happens that ovum collected from the donor and it is transferred to female who cannot produce the ovum but provide suitable environment for fertilization. In this case, GIFT technology is done to those females who cannot produce ovum. They have a proper reproductive system, they can give birth to the child, they have a proper process for implantation, but they do not produce ovum, and then from some other donor, from some other female, ovum is got, and then it is transferred to the female who wants the child, and then the pregnancy continues in that female. So washed sperms and ova are transferred to the ampulla of the fallopian tube with the help of laparoscope, and then fertilization occurs, then cleavage occurs, and the pregnancy continues. In this type, the sperms and ova are washed and they are transferred into the ampulla portion of the fallopian tube where fertilization occurs. Then that lady who is unable to produce the ovum, she fertilizes the ovum, and then the pregnancy continues. This process of GIFT, it is useful when fimbriae fail to capture the ovum and females having sperm antibodies in their cervical secretion. That it means that this type of assisted reproductive technology, it is useful for those females in which fimbriae, you know, the first portion of the fallopian tube, fimbriae fail to capture the ovum. They are unable to get the ovum, and for those ladies it is very useful. And in certain cases females have antibodies for sperms in their cervix, and when they have antibodies for sperms in their cervix, and when sperms enter the cervix portion, sperms are killed. So in that case also GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer process, is very useful. So third, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So this is the third assisted reproductive technology. ICSI means intracytoplasmic sperm injection, and in this assisted reproductive technology, sperm is directly injected into the ovum in culture medium, and zygote or embryo, it is transferred to fallopian tube or the uterus. In this process, what is done, that sperm, it is injected into the ovum in the laboratory. That ovum is received from the female and it is cultured in the laboratory, and then sperm is injection with the help of the sperm is injected with the help of the injection in the ovum directly, and then fertilization takes place, and then zygote, it is transferred into the fallopian tube or uterus depending upon the stage of the zygote. If it is 8 cell stage, then it is transferred to fallopian tube, and if it is a mature or 32 cell stage, then it is transferred to uterus. This is the diagram showing that this is ovum, and with the help of the needle, the sperm is injected into the cytoplasm of the ovum, and then their fertilization takes place, and then zygote, it is transferred into the body of the female, either fallopian tube or the uterus. So this is the third assisted reproductive technology. And now the last and the fourth assisted reproductive technology is artificial insemination or AI. In artificial insemination, what happens that in case either the male partner is unable to inseminate the female, or very low sperm count is present in the male, then the semen of the male partner or donor is collected, concentrated and introduced in the vagina or the uterus of the female, and then it is intrauterine insemination. It means what is done in artificial insemination, that in some cases the male partner has low sperm count, and you know that for fertilization millions of sperms are needed, but only one sperm is fertilizes the ovum, but for fertilization millions of sperms are needed. And so in those males where the low sperm count, where there is very slow sperm count, in those cases the semen of the male partner is taken and it is concentrated. Concentrated means in a small quantity of semen there is a more number of sperms, and this concentrated semen, it is introduced in the vagina or the uterus of the female, and then that semen which is concentrated, that fertilizes the ovum of the female, and then fertilization takes place, and then normal pregnancy continues. And so this is artificial insemination. So this is the fourth assisted reproductive technology. And now you have studied four assisted reproductive technologies, and what are the drawbacks of these assisted reproductive technologies? So first is, these techniques are not possible with female with damaged uterine wall. Number two, it requires high precision, specialized professional and expensive instrumentation, and so available in few centers and available to few people only. And it raises several ethical, emotional, religious and moral issues in the society. And what are the drawbacks, are the limitations of these assisted reproductive technologies, which I have discussed with you, that these technologies are not possible in females who have damaged wall of uterus. It means the female with damaged uterus wall, in that case these techniques are not possible. Uterus should be proper, and moreover these techniques are done by very specialized and professional people, professional doctors, and it is very expensive process, and so these techniques, they are not present everywhere. They are available in many few centers, and then all people cannot afford these type of techniques because it is very expensive and it causes a large amount of money. And moreover, some people think that this type of technology should not be used for getting the child because it raises ethical, emotional, religious or moral issues in the society. That some people, they think that this is not our child because some other donor has given the sperm, or some other donor has given the ovum, and many emotional, religious and moral issues are raised in the society. So these techniques, they have the following drawbacks. So these were the different assisted reproductive technology. So this is all about today's presentation, and now in this presentation we have discussed number 1, MTP, that is medical termination of pregnancy. Number 2, we have studied infertility, and in which we have studied 3 or 4 assisted reproductive technology. Then we have studied this amniocentesis, and so these are the certain things we discussed in this process, in this presentation. You have to go through all these presentation, and this is the last presentation of the reproductive health topic. And with this we also complete the first unit of zoology syllabus of 12th class, that is the reproduction. And in this unit we have studies asexual reproduction, then human reproduction, and now we have finished reproductive health. So you have to go through whole of the unit in a thorough way, and in case you have any queries or questions, you can discuss it with me. Thank you.